You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. The beloved and celebrated Agassiz Chamber Music Festival is back, and for the first time ever, 100% virtual. Stretching beyond the reach of the ancient and vast lake, which gives the festival its name, Agassiz Connected is available worldwide, featuring some of Canada's finest chamber musicians. To tell us more is Agassiz Artistic Director and Founder Paul Marleyn. Hello, Paul. Welcome back to Classic 107.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be back.
Well, first off, let me ask you, how have you been keeping?
I've been keeping really well. Of course, it's been a very unusual, unpredictable, changeable, adaptable year. But I often think of Charles Darwin's words that it's the adaptable that survive. And I think particularly for artists and musicians and arts organizations like summer festivals, like Agassiz, being adaptable, I think, is absolutely key. So I'm really happy and proud of the fact that Agassiz has been able to adapt and go virtual since we don't seem to be allowed to have live concerts.
Well, I'm so glad you bring up that adaptability because, of course, last year, the first time in 20 years that the festival didn't happen, at least not in its usual form. There was, of course, the At Home with an Artist series hosted by the one and only Andrea Ratuski. These super informative, frank, and engaging conversations with renowned talents, James Ennis, David Jalbert, James Campbell. That was a quick pivot. Made in the still early days of the pandemic. This year, you had a little bit more runway. You could plan around limitations, like you mentioned. What was that process like as artistic director?
Well, it was tricky because, of course, the regulations are changing, and one's trying to predict what Manitoba's regulations will be, what Ontario or Quebec or Canada federal regulations will be regarding national flights within Canada, international flights, quarantine regulations. And if we made the prediction back in March and then again at the beginning of April, because usually the extensions were 30-day extensions by the Manitoba government, we made the prediction that the 2-week quarantine regulation would still be in place come May and early June, and it seems that
right you were
that was right. So we're happy with that because, of course, you never know which way it'll go. You hope for the best, but of course, if everything opened up, then we would look rather silly if all the other arts organizations are having live concerts with full audiences, and here we are online. But we made that call, and somewhat educated. We were advised, of course. But it's worked out quite well, and we finally made the decision at the beginning of April 5th, to go online, and that's when the idea was hatched of having what we now call a tale of two cities, where we have artists and concerts being streamed in Winnipeg with our wonderful Manitoba artists. At the same time, we wanted to, as Agassiz has every year, present artists from across Canada, at least. I mean, we made the decision to not have any international artists in these pandemic times, but we wanted to still have Canadian artists. And then we noticed that the artists we'd already hired, we had in place, were all centered around the Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto area. And that's when we started to think, well, maybe we should put those artists together, and we'll have a group of artists there, and we'll have a group of artists in Winnipeg, of course. And that's the Tale of Two Cities idea, and the theme of connected. Artists being connected across different cities, and audiences with our audience with artists in different parts of Canada. So that was the thinking behind that.
Well, you, of course, are connected to these two cities. You make your home in Ottawa, teaching at the U of O. And before that, you were at the U of M, where this whole idea of the Agassiz Festival got underway. And I imagine every year in normal years, when you make your way back to Winnipeg, it's a sort of chance to reconnect with friends and perform music together in this Agassiz Chamber Music Festival. And despite the situation, as you say, you've found a way to do that with joint performers from Ottawa and in Winnipeg. And the thing about this festival, it always strikes me as a sort of a happy gathering, a reunion of sorts. Is that what it feels like for you too?
Well, it does, and I mean, it's amazing the strides that we have made in technology now. With like Zoom calls are now so comfortable and so easy and so convenient. So we've had all our Agassiz board meetings on Zoom, and now that's so easy. You'll see in the festival in two of the Meet the Artist sessions, the first and the last. Just at the top of the opening and closing concerts. We're actually going to be presenting, maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but...
oh, go ahead. It's all right.
Spoiler alert. We've put together some performances of artists who are in Winnipeg and in Ottawa and in Montreal playing together simultaneously with the tricks that are possible on the internet. And it's amazing. I mean, there'll be one on the 30th of May with Axel Strauss and Stefan Lemler and Carl Stobie. And you can't tell they're in different rooms, let alone different provinces. It's incredible. They're all such skilled people. And also they did the technology to make this happen. So they're really the modern musician. They have not only extraordinary skills as artists, but also in terms of technology too.
Yeah, it really is true. And I mean, you mentioned just some of the talent on the stage. Of course, Carl Stobie from here in Winnipeg, but then also with Axel Strauss and with David Gelbert and some familiar names on this list. I think nearly all of the performers have been past Classic 107 guests, many of them past performers with the Agassiz Chamber Music Festival. Can you run us through some of the highlights? And in terms of, when looking at the festival, are most of these shows pre-recorded? Will any of them be streamed live or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, a lot of the festival is live.
Wonderful.
Maybe I shouldn't admit to this, but it's true of many festivals that when and concert series, when a concert is advertised live, sometimes it's pre-recorded live.
Yeah, of course.
And the reason, as I'm sure you know very much better than me, is it's quite risky to stream a concert live. There can be a little glitch with the internet. YouTube can be down. So in order to not waste our audience's time, or I guess this is the thinking of so many series, and avoid any glitches, sometimes concerts are pre-recorded but live, so no editing. It's exactly the same. And so, yes, some of our concerts are that way, but a lot of the festival is live, which is really great. In terms of highlights, the festival is anchored around 5 masterworks, 3 by Brahms, 2 piano quartets, the A major and G minor, and the clarinet trio, and 2 fabulous works by Tchaikovsky, the piano trio, and Souvenir to Florence. And the connection between those 2 composers, Brahms and Tchaikovsky, is, since connection is our theme of the festival, is perhaps that they both had frustrating private lives.
Putting it mildly, yes.
Yes. But those 5 works to kind of anchor the festival together, and we're happy to have 2 indigenous works by Chris Dirksen and Karen Sunebacher, a world premiere by Manitoba composer Jim Hiscott, festival debut by one of Manitoba's most distinguished artists of the last 50 years, I would say, Gwen Hobig, which is just great. Carl Stobie curating a concert, which I'm really happy about, and he's done that just beautifully. So there are lots of highlights, masterclasses, emerging artist recital from the next generation, a feature. So we've tried to make this a full festival. We haven't cut any corners at all. So it's very much what our audience has come to expect from Agassiz, just all online. And in the comments we've got from both audience members and colleagues, it's been so rewarding to see how everyone is embracing this adaptation to our current environment. So I'm really excited to see how everything will work.
Well, I think we all are, and we're just so excited that it is happening, and it is happening, like you say, it is a full-fledged festival, a week of chamber music, and you mentioned, I mean, there are of course the heavy hitters like the Brahms and the Tchaikovsky and the Schubert, but also fostering new chamber works, Chris Dirksen, Karen Sunebaka, and new talents as well, like Jamie Lee, who is performing as a young artist, and plus on top of all that, there's also free programming, a round table with Andrea Ratuski and a piano workshop with David Jalbert. It sounds like it is going to be a busy week, and we're so happy to be talking about it here on Classic 107. Paul, thank you for giving us a little lowdown on the Agassiz Festival Connected.
Thanks so much, Simon. It's a great pleasure.
And it's great to connect with you again. The Agassiz Festival runs from May 30th to June 5th. Festival passes are $100. Individual tickets, $20. For more details, visit agassizfestival.com or classic107.com.